On the debate tonight, greed, corruption, and carelessness in the name of development on full display. Acres and acres of lush green mangroves leveled to a dustpan, habitat of over 250 different species, including migratory birds that come from as far as Australia, every year completely destroyed.
We are at Dastan Fata, the 400-acre of wetland habitat in Uran, very close to the Navi Mumbai International Airport site and about 55 kilometers from Mumbai. Just 1 year ago, this wetland attracted a variety of birds, over 250 species of birds, and provided a stunning view. But a year later, this area has been turned into a mere dust bowl.
Our question is, you are supposed to hand over developed plots, 12.5% of the developed plot to the villagers, to the project affected people who gave away their land for the development for your JNPT project, etc. Why do you have to take over, destroy an existing wetland which is a part of your biodiversity?
Another example is the deliberate killing of mangroves on the national highway, just 10 kilometers from Uran. Acres and acres of mangroves systematically killed in Navi Mumbai. Tidal water stopped from entering the mangroves, thereby destroying 4.5 hectares of natural ecosystem.
Close to 9,000 mangrove trees have been destroyed over the last 12 months in Uran. That happens to be the biggest coastal wetland in Maharashtra. Now, activists claim that more than half of these mangrove trees have been destroyed by the Jawaharlal Nehru Port Trust. The other half have been destroyed by the National Highway Authority of India in order to build a bridge on NH4.
Members of the Mangrove Conservation Committee set up by the Bombay High Court call these violations a mockery of the court's order and a result of the inability of the officials to take strict action.
All the machinery of the government is engaged in helping the reclamation and destruction of the wetlands. So we have been telling this to stop and stop the destruction, restore the water supply. But again, there is no action from the concerned authorities.
The Public Works Department has denied destroying the mangroves, but has acknowledged the problem of construction waste being dumped on highways and called for action by the police. Meanwhile, the Chief Conservator of Forests has initiated a probe into the allegations.
We had received a complaint and the matter was referred to the concerned district collector. And a report was received and it was considered in the last meeting, but it was noticed that the complainant was not at the site. So it is possible that the inspection was not on the wrong side, on the correct side.
Mirror Now's senior editor Mandar Fanse travelled to a mangrove which is still intact to show you what's at stake as the Maharashtra government looks the other way as systematic destruction of mangroves continues unabated.
So right now we have already entered into the mangrove lands. This is a small rivulet which is itself showing its course towards the main creek. This is the land where the mangroves thrive upon. This is how the mud is right there. And you can see all these small holes where small creatures are already breathing in.
Mirror Now asks, why is the government turning a blind eye as the massacre of Mumbai's wetlands continues? Join our campaign. Let's save these wetlands of Mumbai. There are silent soldiers who stop Mumbai from flooding every year. With Mandar Fanse and Apeksha Srivastav, Viren Ferrao, Mirror Now.
This story is not just about environmentalists who want the green cover to remain. And on your screen, you'll see these are Google Earth photographs that you can actually look at on your own computer if you want to, of the green that's disappearing. The reason why we've stopped programming on politics and elections and actually decided to spend an hour talking about this tonight is because it's so important. This is the reason why Mumbai flooded in 2005. This is the reason why Chennai flooded a couple of years ago. A lot of our cities, this is the reason why Bangalore floods on a regular basis, because the natural waterways are being blocked and stopped and concretized. In this case, in Mumbai, it is shocking and brazen, and it's being done by the government, with it just flipping the land over, turning it into flat concrete spaces so they can hand it out to builders. I want to run the visual on your screen of what a mangrove should look like on one half and what it looks like now. When our reporter visited the mangrove, there you see it. This is what mangroves should look like on one side of your screen, and this is what it looks like now in some cases. We actually have visuals of dump trucks dumping mud and sand into the mangroves to flatten it. That's what you can see on your screen. Without conscience, knowing full well that experts have told us over and over again that if this happens, the city will flood during the monsoon, because the mangroves are like lungs. They absorb the water and push it out into the sea. Without them, the city will flood. People will die. Do you know who doesn't care? Our government doesn't care. On the show with me, Rishi Agarwal is an activist. Rajiv Mishra is with the United Congress Party right now, an RTA activist himself. B.N. Kumar works with the environment, the director of Nature Connect. Chandrasekhar Prabhu is an urban planner who was part of the committee that examined the reasons why Mumbai flooded in 2005. Mandar Fanse, our senior news editor at Mirror Now. Aarti Sate for the BJP. Stalin Dayanand, project director of One Shakti. I welcome all of you to this conversation and I thank you for joining us. I will start with Stalin. Stalin, you wrote a letter about this recently. What response have you received from the committee that's supposed to be looking after or looking out for our wetlands?
No, I have been repeatedly pulling up the concerned authorities in my position as the member of the committee. I have not received any official letters, but what I do every time in the meetings is to make someone accountable. And here, if you ask me, the blame squarely falls at the doorstep of the Divisional Commissioner Konkan Bhawan. He is the person who has authority over all these agencies who are supposed to act. And he, apart from just reprimanding them orally, does not move. In fact, in the last meeting, I said I want a closure report with the names of the officials who are responsible for not complying with the orders of the committee. Now, this committee, especially the Wetlands Committee, is something which has been constituted by the Honorable High Court of Bombay. It is, in fact, you won't believe it, for 2 years we have been breaking our heads over complaints which are repeatedly coming, and now what is happening is we are seeing in the agenda very slyly complaints are being taken out of it instead of acting on them. And there is no seriousness on the part of the government.
What is the motive you think the government would have to put the city at this kind of risk?
No, it is real estate. Let me tell you that it is nothing but real estate and the money that's going to come out of it. Maharashtra government, I'm coming on your show and telling you this, the Urban Development Department is single-handedly destroyed the Navi Mumbai and Uran wetlands. It's a crime which does not allow us to get away, because we are signatories to the Ramsar Convention. We go on international forums and we say we will protect our wetlands. You come and see what has happened in Uran. It is an environmental crime of the highest magnitude and it has been going on for years. One more thing, Faye, if you allow me. We have been very clear in telling the people who are working on the sites that we should know who is the person who is executing this particular reclamation. But if you go and see the entire belt of 30 kilometers, you will find nobody is saying who is doing what work. Every person who has a dumper and who has some political connection is flattening the land and creating dust bowls out of wetlands. This is criminal. And I assure you on this show that whatever comes our way, we will still make someone pay the price for this. And we won't rest till it happens.
Well, I'll tell you who's going to pay the price for it. The citizens of the city will pay the price for it at the end of the day. Mr. Kumar, you're one of the activists who's been working on the ground. Why did you get interested? What did you notice?
I got interested basically because, as Stalin was explaining, I saw this entire wetland being converted into a barren land, and if you can show one picture, you show me one picture of what used to be a wetland. We have this picture of how this wetland was converted into a desert kind of an area. This is the NMSEZ area JNPT SEZ area, which was for which the foundation stone was laid by none other than the Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself. So we thought when this massive destruction was happening, and 8 months ago.
In fact, one second, our reporter Apeksha actually visited that area and shot it for us. Could we run the visuals of the flat land, the dust bowl that she's gone and shot? This is in the Uran area. Tell us, why is this a problem?
It's a problem because we are destroying, willfully we are destroying a wetland, which is supposed to be part of the biodiversity, and the wetlands and mangroves are supposed to be part of the biodiversity and save the cities from coastal areas from getting eroded.
So basically what's happening is sand and mud is being dumped, debris is being dumped in that area, and in some places the water supply to the trees have been cut off.
That's true. While doing the infrastructure work, they are blocking the free water supply to free water flow to the mangroves, and mangroves automatically die. They are actually choking them to die. And the sand and the soil suppliers, the dumpers that you've seen, most of them are illegal. They dig out soil from one of the hills, they blast the hills and take it out. They are supposed to pay royalty. And when we were there on the visit last time with one of the revenue officials, the revenue officer himself went and asked, where is the royalty permit? The trucks guy, the dumpers didn't have any. So obviously there is somebody handing glove, and there's a big scam that is happening there.
Pandar, you know, there's a modus operandi here. This is how mangroves have sort of been taken over for years. Various governments have done it. And is the purpose only the fact that Mumbai has the most expensive land in the country?
Absolutely, everyone is looking for extra land, Faye, and there is no way right now than to reclaim all these beautiful mangroves. But to tell you just an example, when Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis has announced the affordable housing for 600 acres of land, that land was freed to the extent of 600 acres, and then upon the MMRDA has come up with a report that only 25 acres of that particular 600 acres land can be reclaimed. So look at that kind of a ratio, which is hardly what 0.25% or something like that. And that ratio is that itself shows that the viability of reclaiming that particular 600 acre lands is also not there. So that shows how precarious this situation is across Mumbai, and whether it is a western coast, whether it is a eastern coast, everything is completely being reclaimed, and especially the one which is the Uran sector and that newly coming up the airport area of the new Mumbai, everything is being completely reclaimed, and the rivers are also being diverted.
And you just visited, obviously, and the visual that we saw was of you in a boat with the fishermen. There is a fishermen's association that is also terrified about reclamation, because not only will they lose their livelihood, they're also worried about floods.
They're largely, if I tell you, Faye, I was talking to many of the fishermen. They were telling us, if you know the geography of Mumbai and the island, which is southwards, the island has its own belt structure of the water. When the high tide and low tide comes, it revolves around the island, and that belt structure itself is now being completely half choked, and therefore this particular belt, that particular conveyor belt of the water of the high tide and low tide around Mumbai is going to get disturbed, and that disturbance will be felt by the Mumbaikars when it comes to monsoon season, and especially in the Navi Mumbai side, the new Mumbai side, that impact will be seen more when it will be little unusual kind of rains.
So as soon as it rains a little more than usual, we will see Navi Mumbai flood. Everybody in the panel seems to agree on that. I want to cut across to Mr. Chandrasekhar Prabhu. Mr. Chandrasekhar Prabhu is a very senior urban planner who was part of a committee that studied the reasons why the 2005 floods happened. Now, anyone who lives in the city remembers those floods. The city came to a grinding halt and people died. Citizens lost their lives. Mr. Prabhu, do you see the government repeating those mistakes without conscience? Do you agree that if this sort of reclamation continues unplanned, people will die again the next time it rains heavily?
It's very obvious, Faye. There are basically three different kinds of reclamations. One is a reclamation wherein you destroy the forest. Mangroves are considered to be forest. So mangrove land is forest land, and that has been upheld by the High Court and the Supreme Court. So we are all duty bound to protect the mangroves. That's number one. Number two is already reclaimed land get reclaimed for some kind of public purpose. And the third is, those lands which were, were created out of reclamation and remained as low-lying areas. For instance, the entire Vasai Virar area was kept low-lying because Mumbai was reclaimed. So the Vasai Virar was the area where the spill-off from Mumbai would have been kept. And now 25,000 hectares of land in Vasai Virar gets reclaimed. So what happens is Mumbai gets drowned. So these three kinds, in which one kind can be condoned vaguely, but no one ever can condone the destruction of mangroves. And this is an absolute disaster waiting to happen. This is it's a complete recipe. And I must say with due humility that if one checks the list of contractors who have been given the contract of filling, that will tell the entire story. All the political heads of various political parties in the Navi Mumbai and Uran area have shared the spoils. 2,000 crores worth dumping, 6,000 to one party, 600 crore to one party, 600 to the other, 600 to the third one. So everyone just keeps mum. So much so that the biggest hill of Navi Mumbai, which is Dronagiri, which is considered to be, historical, they wanted to flatten the entire hill. 87 hills have been flattened. So these are all very clear signals that the politicians are out to destroy the city in some way or the other, and they want to share the spoils, and no one would like to oppose it.
Yes.
That's the reality. Unfortunately, that's true.
Aarti Sathe, is this because there's an election coming up that the politicians are a little hungrier to make money than usual, that you've decided within the government, centre and state, that we can afford to give up thousands of acres of wetlands?
I don't think I would really like to comment on the fact that whether politicians have got hungrier, and as a result of that, these wetlands have been given away. I'm not in a position to comment on that, and I wouldn't like to comment on that, because as far as the wetland issue is concerned, or the mangroves issue is concerned, there is always a balance which one needs to strike between infrastructure projects and environment. This government has always tried to or at least try to, get that balance right in place. At times we have not been able to probably get the balance in place. At times we have managed to get the balance in place. In fact, the new CRZ regulations or the notifications which have been, which has got implemented or which have been notified as of 2019, the very preamble of that notification seeks to tell you that the CRZ notifications are being tinkered around or are being amended for a sustainable development of the environment and in a scientific manner. They have also delineated the CRZ zones. They have at the same time, of course, they have defrozen certain FSI norms. So let me tell you, historically, Bombay was always, was a cluster of 7 islands. Today, what we see as Bombay is primarily reclaimed land. And as a result of that, today the Bombay that we see is really reclaimed land all the time. Back Bay Reclamation, BKC, these are all prime examples. Now, in the process, if there is some sort of environmental hazard which is taking place, and rightly so, the activists, the environmental people, the environment is close to my heart too. In fact, Prime Minister Modi in 2018, there is a yearly review which has come out which says that this government has in fact proactively done and taken steps for the environment.
It's a joke.
So yes, we have to strike a balance, and unfortunately no, it may be a joke, but the fact remains that the balance needs to be struck, and the government at all times has tried to seek that balance. As I said, there may be times when the balance has not been struck. In fact, there is a commitment given that instead of 3 times, 10 times mangroves will be planted.
Yeah.
Is the commitment given?
How do you plant
we
mangroves?
as activists, we as people, and of course, have to continue with that process.
No, but I have to point out, you know, the mangroves are not potted plants in your garden. You cannot plant mangroves. You can only destroy them. Once you've destroyed them,
I know they are not. I know they are not potted plants. I know they are something which are important for the ecological system. I completely get you, and I'm with you.
Okay, let me just go through the points that you've made one by one, and I'll offer opportunities for rebuttal. But I just want to say, when you said that Mumbai is entirely reclaimed land, you pointed out BKC. Let me point out that the report and the findings on why Mumbai flooded and people died in 2005, one of the reasons was the MMRDA's bad handling of the BKC reclamation without planning, which is why so much of Kalina and Vakola and Santa Cruz flooded. So why can't we learn from those mistakes and don't say, oh, because this has always happened this way, let's just continue to be irresponsible.
See, there are certain traditionally, there are certain areas which are traditionally low-lying areas.
So don't touch them.
A flooding can be because of a variety of factors.
No.
You should understand the concept of floodplains.
2005 to 2019, 14 years have passed. We know exactly why the city flooded. Not various reasons and not cloudburst.
2005 was a cloudburst. Abnormal rains also is a factor.
Why did the Navi Mumbai villages flood now? There was no flood, no rain, nothing.
It was a cloudburst.
So, one second, Rishi Agarwal has
rainfall in one day.
Okay, no, I'm not arguing with you about this, Aarti Sate. It's been 14 years. We know exactly why the city flooded, because Mitti River had been encroached upon, because the mangroves had been concretized and there was no place for the water to go. Mumbai, at the end of the day, is a coastal land. It has to breathe. The water has to go in and out of the mangroves in the high and the low tide. That wasn't able to happen. Rishi Agarwal, will Navi Mumbai flood if this sort of reclamation continues? Yes or no?
I mean, yes, definitely yes. And with extreme weather events because of climate change, the likelihood will go up, which means that this confluence of two things, which is heavy rainfall and high tides, would eventually lead to floods. I mean, that's a no-brainer completely.
And the Rishi also respond to, and I want to give everybody an opportunity. Aarti Sate said we have to balance infrastructure and environment, and this is the government that's trying to find that balance. Do you have a rebuttal to offer her?
I mean, I was absolutely shocked, and I mean, I would sarcastically say amused by what Aarti Sate had to say. I think this government has had one of the worst records on environmental issues, whether it is the recent forests which have been given away for coal in central India, or just about any issue. I mean, it's become the cheapest kind of rhetoric is being dished out in terms of environmental protection. And it is painful for some of us who've been involved with this issue way too long. I mean, it just is like almost adding insult to humiliation when the government spokespeople go about saying like this. I mean, in my 20 years of being involved with mangrove conservation, I think the past 5 years have been the one time when I have had absolutely no interaction with the government of Maharashtra. I mean, there have been enough instances of fighting with government of Maharashtra officials and disagreements before that. Yes. But in these past 5 years, there's been absolutely zero interaction. I mean, right from 2002, I remember Mr. Ravi Buddhiraja, the then Secretary Environment, constituted the Mangrove Committee. I was a part of it. Then Mrs. Valsa Singh Nair in 2009. I mean, I've seen a number of efforts of the government over the years, agreed, disagreed, fought, worked together. But this is the first time in 5 years that there's been absolute pin drop silence. It's almost like graveyard silence in terms of engagement with the government. There's nothing left to engage. I mean, you cannot engage with this kind of rhetoric, which we've just heard from the government spokesperson. This is way too serious an issue to be handled like this. I mean, I just don't have any more words to say.
Rajiv Mishra ji, as a citizen, Rajiv Mishra, we remember very clearly what happened in 2005. There are families today who still grieve the 26th of July because their loved ones died. Is this another example of how the government, for its short-term gain, gives up the lives of its citizens?
देखो, फिर सबसे पहले तो मैं ऋषि जी की इस बात से बहुत सहमत हूँ कि ये गवर्नमेंट जो है पिछले 4 सालों से 4.5 सालों से जो देवेंद्र फडणवीस के नेतृत्व में है, ये गवर्नमेंट को सबसे बड़ी महारत अगर किसी चीज़ में हासिल है तो इन्वायरमेंटल क्लियरेंस लाने में। ये इन्वायरमेंटल क्लियरेंस ऐसे ला रहे हैं जैसे इन्वायरमेंट का कोई इस देश में महत्व ही नहीं है। इस तरीके से इनको तुरंत इन्वायरमेंटल क्लियरेंस मिल जाता है। अब रही बात फिर जो नवी मुंबई के सिचुएशन को, आप देखो कि आप इंफ्रा प्रोजेक्ट्स को लाने के लिए आप नेचर के साथ इतना बड़ा खिलवाड़ मत करो जो आने वाले समय में एक भयावह स्थिति पैदा कर सके। अभी आपको मैं बताता हूं कि वहां पर एयरपोर्ट लाने के लिए आपने गाढ़ी नदी का जो उसका जो मूवमेंट था उसको आपने टर्न आउट कर दिया। उसके बाद एयरपोर्ट लाने के लिए आपने 70 एकड़ से ज़्यादा मैंग्रोव्स के जो लैंड थे उनको नष्ट करने की इजाज़त दे दी। उसके बाद आप JNPT में आप इतना बड़ा जो SEZ ला रहे हो। आप मेरे को बताओ फे, न्यू बॉम्बे में MIDC के रूप में बहुत बड़े लैंड्स उपलब्ध हैं। चाहे आप तलोजा, थाने तलोजा आप पूरा पट्टा ले लो, ये पूरा पट्टा MIDC लैंड है। अभी वहां पर बहुत सारे डेवलपमेंट बाकी हैं। तब SEZ ऐसा कौन सा ऐसा नीडी वर्क है जिसके लिए आप नेचर को डिस्ट्रॉय करने को तैयार हो? हमारा कहना यह है कि कोई बहुत अर्जेंट वर्क था, कोई मान लो हमारे डिफेंस से संबंधित कोई वर्क है, हमारे कुछ ऐसे गरीबों से संबंधित कुछ ऐसा प्रोजेक्ट लाना है, तो बात समझ में आती है। आप ऐसे किस प्रोजेक्ट के लिए आप इन सब इन्वायरमेंटल चीजों को आप डिस्ट्रॉय करने का परमिशन दे रहे हो? दूसरी बात आपको बता रहा हूं, SEZ के नाम पर जो खेल चल रहा है, आपको अच्छी तरह पता है पे कि आज के समय में 5000 एकड़ जमीन ऑलरेडी NMSEZ को दिया हुआ है। फिर दूसरा बात, आप फिर JNPT SEZ ला रहे हो। आखिर ये सब चीजें करने के लिए इतना
that's a fair question, मंदार। आपसे यही पूछना था कि ये जो अपेक्षा की स्टोरी है, जो अपेक्षा आपकी टीम में काम करती है, जो she brought back the story of a flattened mangrove. This is the JNPT land. This is not for an airport. Now it might be argued that Mumbai really needs a second airport and we should make sacrifices for an airport. But what is this land for? What will this be used for?
Well, yes, basically the kind of policy they are making, they are thinking that they are making a policy which is which will be a comprehensive policy, so to say, for the sustainability of the airport economics itself. And that's where they are.
तो पहले एयरपोर्ट बनेगी, एयरपोर्ट के आसपास फिर होटल, शॉपिंग मॉल, बिल्डिंग्स बनेंगे, और ये सब बनाने के लिए और हमारे वेटलैंड्स, और एयरपोर्ट के लिए ऑलरेडी 4,500 acres of wetlands are going to be flattened. The birds will have to be moved.
As Stalin has already told, that 30 square kilometers, it's a huge land, and that land having that much of landmass into it, again in addition, that has changed complete topography.
फिर एक इम्पोर्टेंट बात मैं थोड़ा सा आपको बता दूं। देखो, जब NMSEZ लाया गया था तो उस वक्त ये जो कंडीशंस रखे गए थे वो ये रखे गए थे कि किसी भी हालत में इसका जो 15% है उससे ज़्यादा हम इसको कमर्शियल या रेसिडेंशियल करने नहीं देंगे, बाकी सब इंडस्ट्री आएगी और 5 लाख लोगों को रोजगार मिलेगा और इसमें 25,000 करोड़ का विदेशी निवेश आएगा। ये कह करके NMSEZ का प्लॉट अलॉट किया गया था। उसके बाद सिस्टमेटिकली से इसमें चेंजिंग आई थी। पिछले 11 साल में वहां कुछ नहीं हुआ है, लेकिन उसको सिस्टमैटिक चेंज करते हुए आज उसको जो है इंडस्ट्रियल इंटीग्रेटेड स्टेट करके एरिया, इंडस्ट्रियल इंटीग्रेटेड एरिया करके घोषित कर दिया गया, जिसमें कि 40% कमर्शियल एंड रेसिडेंशियल को परमिशन है। तो ये सारी चीजें जो है लैंड बैंक के रूप में गवर्नमेंट जो है ये पहले सपना दिखाती है कि हम यहाँ यही करेंगे, और बाद में बिल्डरों को यह एक लैंड बैंक उनको रिजर्व करके दिया जाता है और उसकी पूरी की पूरी कीमत हम जैसे लोगों को चुकानी पड़ती है। कि हम आज अगर अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग के नाम पर कहीं घर खोजने जाएं तो आप महाड़ा ले लो, आप सिडको ले लो, कहीं पर भी एक रूम का फ्लैट आपको लेने जाओ, एक रूम का तो आज 20-20 लाख रुपए में मिल रहे हैं। कैसे कोई जो हमारे जैसे लोग कैसे खरीद पाएंगे घर?
That's a very fair point. Stalin, आपसे ये सवाल है. I would ask you this question. Aarti Sathe said the CRZ notification is about sustainable development.
That is where she is fundamentally wrong. The CRZ notification is to protect the ecology of the coast and ensure the security of the coastline. It is not for development. It tells you specifically don't develop it. But this government has tampered with it again to a level where there is absolute mayhem. Now, she was talking about the performance of this government. Today, India stands at 184 out of 187 countries. Only Congo, Burundi and Nepal are behind us. We should be ashamed of talking of environment protection. This CRZ notification tells you to maintain a distance from the high tide line and keep intertidal areas free from construction. What you are constructing is not a defense facility in Uran. Everyone, I am telling you, 3,000 dumpers are in operation every day in Uran. Yes. Nobody has a clue whose dumper it is, where it is going, whose work is going on. This is completely illegal. There is no royalty paid to the government. There is no security on the ground, and there is no one has a clue. It's a free for all. Everyone is making money, left, right, and center. And the mangroves, the wetlands, which are clearly prohibited. In fact, the wetlands have been identified in the wetland atlas. The Honorable Supreme Court of India, the Honorable High Court of Bombay have said you cannot touch a wetland which is shown in the atlas. And till today, despite 2 years after the orders has been passed, nobody in the government is willing to listen to those orders of the High Court or the Supreme Court of India. What are you talking about?
Mr. Kumar?
See, the basic definition of wetland, which of course Circo and JNPT, everybody is in denial mode about it. Any water body, static or flowing, temporary or permanent, man-made or natural. This is the wetland. This is supposed to be wetland. Any water body is supposed to be wetland. Now you are asking about question about the flood, whether Mumbai, Navi Mumbai will be flooded in case this destruction continues. Navi Mumbai has already started witnessing floods. In February, in March, today, in fact as of today, right now, there is water flowing into the homes in Kunde village. That is because the creek and the sea water has been blocked. Its free flow has been blocked in NMSEZ area. And 15 days ago, during the last full moon time, Circo officer, the Circo, I should name him, Circo environment officer Pramod Patil came along with the Tahsildar, Kalpana Godhe. They came, they assured the villagers, we were there, they assured them that they will take proper steps. They will make sure that gates will be open so that water will be flowing free. They won't enter the village. But as of now, I got video clips last night from the villagers saying that our homes are flooded. This flood situation will continue for another couple of days. And the impact is already being felt by the local villages.
Well, Rishi Agarwal, you wanted to come in on the CRZ notification. Let's talk this. There are various projects that are in work. The coastal road, the Shivaji statue, the extension of the Bandravali Sea Link, and of course this entire, there is a plan to actually connect various parts of the city and this reclamation that we're looking at right now. Do you not agree with Aarti Sati that this is sustainable development and there has to be a balance between infrastructure and environment?
Faye, one of the earlier speakers clearly mentioned that there is more than enough land available with MIDC in the Taloja belt, what is also called as NAINA, the Navi Mumbai Airport Influence Notified Area. And there is absolutely no need for a reclamation which is being carried out in the Uran belt. We have, the urban planners' projections for the next 20-30 years clearly say that population growth and economic activity will stabilize. So what is this being done for is certainly not, and again, development for whom? When we are talking sustainable development, development also means that you protect your citizens from events like 2005. What is the point if you go about reclamation, it adds to your GDP for 10 years, and then progressively it starts decimating and subtracting from that GDP, and you're back to zero or maybe negative. So that really is not development. Coming back to CRZ, I think it has got a legacy of dilutions. The number of dilutions that CRZ has seen, we might as well say that as India, as a country, we really don't have any law to protect our coastal environment and ecology. Let's just accept it. Let's go back to the UN, tell the Ramsar Convention that no, we are not protecting our coastal ecology at all. I think we are way back in the mid-80s when Indira Gandhi first saw some kind of activities along the coast and decided that we should protect. I think we are back to exactly that same phase with very little progress. I have always maintained a position that in urban areas, CRZ should not be same as coastal, as rest of the Konkan belt. You definitely need a modified version of CRZ, but what's happening over here is a complete mockery and it's a free for all. There are no democratic processes at all in terms of how you should be modifying that law. There is no discussion. It's might is right. And if I may just add to what Stalin was saying, that nobody knows who these 3,000 trucks are, clueless, security. Come on, Stalin. All of us know who those politicians are, right? I mean, it's an absolute sad commentary on Indian democracy that people like us who can name and shame those politicians have to be afraid of our lives from those same people.
No, definitely not.
Everybody in the panel knows who those politicians are.
Not at all, not at all.
Let's
Rishi,
not keep fooling ourselves.
I wouldn't take that. If you know the names,
Everybody
tell me,
knows their
I
names.
will raise it.
Yeah.
I can't raise a name without having proof of what I say. I have to be careful of what I say on a national television.
I know all the. I know all
Mr.
the.
Prabhu. Yes.
I know all the names.
Please tell us.
Yeah, I know all the names. Just find out. Find out who contested the elections from Uran area and take the names of people who contested the elections from various parties. All of them you will find have a share of the cake. They have allotted contracts for filling, and check which are the companies. They are the same culprits all over last 10 years or so. Some new people have added. As the new government comes in, new people get added. And check who contested for assembly in Uran.
People have to be accommodated.
Who won, who lost, who contested for mayor in Uran. They are all the people who have officially
who shifted parties.
got the
They are small
contract.
fry.
I know
So
who
I'll tell you what, we will check. Munda?
and who shifted parties.
We will go on the ground and we will check who the dump trucks belong to.
Mr. Prabhu is saying, it is a fact. It is a fact. I mean, every person who's in politics today is having those dumpers in their or their supporters' name, and of course, this is a huge mafia.
This would have been a
basically.
contract that was handed out by the local government in Uran or by the port trust?
By the companies. For instance, JNPT is executing this SEZ.
JNPTs and various other authorities. Like,
सिडको एंड जेएनपीटी।
फिर एक चीज आप समझ लो कि जेएनपीटी के जितने भी चेयरमैन और बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर हैं, पहले आप उनकी लिस्ट निकाल लो तो आपको मालूम चलेगा ये सब जो है रियल एस्टेट के जुड़े हुए लोग हैं। आप इसी से अंदाजा कर सकती हो कि इसका मकसद क्या है। दूसरा बात रहा कि जो बोल रहे हैं प्रभु साहब की पॉलिटिशियंस का नाम, इसमें कोई दो राय नहीं। फिर आप जाकर चेक कर सकती हैं, बहुत सारे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं जिनको आपको इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर कंपनियां हैं, अब जैसे ठाकुर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हो गया, जैन महात्रे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हो गया, ये सब का आप जाकर करके देख लो, ये सारे टेंडर्स इन्हीं लोगों को मिलते हैं। चाहे वो लैंड को डेवलप करने का हो, उसकी भराई करने का हो, ये सारे टेंडर उन लोगों को मिलते हैं।
You know, I just want to point out one last thing because we're running out of time. Now, this issue has been raised by the Mumbai Mirror, which is our newspaper concern. It has been raised by Mirror now. It has been raised by various activists. Stalin is on the committee. Has the dumping stopped?
We managed to stop the dumping at Panje. That was one wetland we could save. And Dastan Fata, despite 3 warnings over a period of 4 months, the CIDCO officials assured us that they would stop the work. The Tahsildar was given clear instructions to stop the work, but they did not do it. And this is because I'll tell you, let me tell you, it's a little unsavory thing, but we have to tell it. It is a question of this IAS lobby. The JNPT chairman is too powerful a person for any forest officer to take on. No forest officer has that caliber to take him on. So he is a law unto himself. Second, CIDCO MD, he is a law unto himself. He reports to the chief minister. He is his bosom buddy. So no official who can stop the work has the guts to go against their masters. So this is a state of affairs.
Can the Chief Minister of Maharashtra stop this?
It is very much in his domain, and I am going one step further on your show and telling that he is very well aware of what is happening. This is nothing but gathering of money for the elections, nothing else.
Aarti Sathe, it's a yes or no answer. Will the Chief Minister of Maharashtra stop this tomorrow? Because if he doesn't, the cities of Mumbai, Thane and Navi Mumbai will flood in the upcoming monsoon.
I've been seeing the debate throughout for the last half an hour and quite patiently listening to whatever the anguishes of people around are. I think we've already started some sort of media trial to say that this one is wrong, that one is wrong. Look, let me tell you, no government would like to inconvenience the citizens, but ultimately we need infrastructure. Infrastructure.
Madam, what is this infrastructure you're talking about?
No, but what infrastructure are you building on our land?
Infrastructure.
Exactly.
1 minute. I've heard all of y'all.
No,
I have heard all of y'all
explain
very
your
quietly.
statement.
Give me 2 minutes. Give me 2 minutes. Give me 2 minutes. Give me 2 minutes to explain. I need 2 minutes without interruption. Let me tell you, even the Bombay High Court recently has allowed a petition of the MMRDA wherein they have said that if some sort of cutting of trees is to be done, that will be done for public
14 mangroves, ginke, madam.
As long as there is public interest.
The Bombay High Court said 14 trees, 14, 1-4, not 450 acres.
Fair enough, but if public interest demands something,
no, it doesn't.
What is
then
public interest in an SEZ? Also for public interest.
How is
Why
this public interest? What are you building in JNPT land that is of public interest?
What about the Navi Mumbai airport? What about the
This is not the airport land we're talking about.
Airport.
This is not the airport land we're talking about.
Today,
no.
Maybe, but today all along the discussion has been on the airport.
No, that means you missed out.
All right, so let me just make this clear for the audience. We are not talking about the airport. We're talking about land adjacent to the airport land. That has absolutely nothing to do with the airport. We have no idea what is going to be built here. They have not put out a plan. They have not asked for any sort of public consultation. They have not asked for any sort of views from activists and public. They've gone ahead and they've destroyed the trees. They've destroyed the mangroves. They've destroyed the habitat. And even if you are someone who has no love in your heart for the environment whatsoever, you don't care about the flamingos who fly to the city once a year from across the world, your house will flood. Your habitat will be destroyed as well. It is an inevitability. It is not left to chance. It's not whether or not it will rain. Of course it will rain. It rains every year in Mumbai. Of course we will have heavy rain again. So not only would we have destroyed the mangroves, which we can never put back again. You can't replant them. It can never be put back again. You've destroyed the habitat for the exotic birds and the animals. You will destroy our own homes. And the only test right now has to be whether or not the Chief Minister of Maharashtra picks up the phone and says, stop the dumping tomorrow. And if he doesn't do it, and either he's not informed about what's happening right under his nose, which is not okay, or he doesn't care, which is worse. But we're going to be watching very, very closely because this is a question of life and death. We think murder is only when someone actually physically kill somebody else, but no, murder also happens when you let a bridge collapse and people die on it. Murder also happens when you destroy the environment, which will directly result in people dying in floods. That is also cold-blooded murder, which is what is happening today. We will continue to put the environment in at prime time, even though nobody else thinks it's that important. There's no such thing as a balance between development and environment when you don't know what you're building on the land that you have reclaimed.